Okay, good morning again to everybody. We are into week 2, and remember what we said at the first lecture, that these first 3 or 4 weeks are very critical in terms of building a foundation, and that I urge you to do your significant reading for your first 7 weeks. Intense reading. So you're changing from the model you're accustomed to where you wait till week 8, weeks 8, 9, and 10 to start studying, or maybe a semester ends. It doesn't work that way in this course because of the way it's structured. So I urge you again, this is the time you study hardest. There are a lot of concepts that you need to refresh your memory on, and I will restate some of them this morning. And so today what we're going to do, we begin, or we go on looking at the external assessment, and there are 2 tools we are going to look at. There are 2 tools and 1 model, and that would be model. We'll be looking at different business models, and then we look at the external factor evaluation matrix, and we also look at the competitive profile matrix, and these are 2 new concepts. So I urge you last week, read in advance for the course. So for those who read about the EFE and CPM today, you're going to leave this room feeling comfortable. For those who didn't, you're going to leave here feeling lost, and you just wasted 2 hours. Because the models are new models, and there's some technical things about them that you need to know, and you will be tested on one of these models or a number of them in the exam. So I want to repeat, the best way to learn and understand, and the key thing about this course is understanding the concept very well, because in exam you have to apply them. So one of the things that helps you in learning and permanent memory is to prepare in advance. So I urge you again, don't come to a lecture or sessions like these not reading anything about the subject area for the day, because again you're just going to be lost trying to catch up, and writing notes not going to help you because all of the detailed notes are already online, right? They're online. I'm going to do the recordings, but so the interaction that we're going to have will actually help you in understanding where you could ask me questions, and that's the important thing about asking questions to clarify, right? So last week we dealt with this concept of the environment of business, and I suggested to you go and refresh your memory for those who had forgotten about it. But the pestle analysis, some people say pesty analysis, the political, legal, economic, and the internal forces, you should have an idea how the organization impacts on the internal environment. And also we know it's linked to the vision and mission, so for those who have forgotten today, you should know clearly the distinction factor between vision and mission, and the relevance of vision and mission. You should know, we dealt with it last week, introduced the concept of competitive advantage, so you should have some idea what competitive advantage means and what it is all about. And also Porter's 5 forces. I touched on that last week when I said Porter's 5 forces will be utilizing the force. So at least you would have gone back to look at Porter's 5 forces model and to determine how that model works. We'll touch on it a bit today. So as I said, every student should know what the forces are. The internal factors, so somebody tell me what are the internal factors as shown on the whiteboard. Somebody give me some of the internal forces that impact on business quickly. Sorry? The employees, customers, which customers? Sorry? Right. Internal customers are external customers coming from the internal environment. Those are people you provide services to. We are customers. Customers are part of, which part of the external are they part of? Which part of the external environment are they part of? Sorry? No. Where are they part of? What does Porter talk about? So it tells me people need to reading about Porter. What are the forces that Porter speaks about? Right, the bargaining power of the suppliers, bargaining power of the of the buyers are customers. So customers are part of the competitive environment. That's what Porter does. Porter's 5 forces model, looking at competitive forces. So you have the employees. Who else are part of the internal environment? Employees, management, culture, structure. What are the factors? Oh, this is not good. We started with that last week. What are the other factors? They said the employees, managers, structure, culture. What other factors are part of the internal environment? Sorry? Owners, processes. Oh, this is stuff that you need to know. This is important stuff. Like I said last week, we are moving forward and you need to know this basic stuff. This is basic stuff. But you should know these factors by heart. Right? So you have the managers, the employees, the owners, shareholders. You have culture, you have structure, you have strategy, you have structure, systems, processes, rules. All of those things make up the internal environment. Folks, I repeat, you can do well in this course, but this basic thing that you have learned in first year management, you really need to know these concepts very well as we move ahead. And the relationship between the external forces and the internal forces. So I urge you, by next week, you really need to study this model and know this model extremely well. Right? It's a very simple model. You need to know these factors by heart before we get into the big matters. How does a vision differ from a mission? Factor delaying a lot. I will survive. What's the difference between vision and mission? Well, which one? Right next to her. Vision is what you intend to do. He said the vision is what you intend to do. Sorry? The mission is what you have to do, and the vision is what you plan to become in the future. Right? So those two concepts are very important concepts. What is competitive advantage all about? What is competitive advantage all about? Sorry? Right. The company having the lead over its competitors. Right? Company having a lead over its competitors. What are the characteristics of the 5 forces model? This side, characteristics of the 5 forces model by Porter, we touched on last week. I think those are everybody. All right. New entrants to the market, bargaining power with suppliers, bargaining power with sellers, or suppliers, threat of substitute products, and rivalry among the competing firms. Excellent. So we can just go through that bit today because Porter's 5 forces model is going to be important. So it says anyone can count the seeds in an apple, but no one can count the apples in the seed. What does that really say? Gentlemen here. What does that mean to you? Anyone can count the seeds in an apple, but no one can count the apples in a seed. How do you interpret that? Lady here, what's your name? Santa? What does it mean for you? In very practical terms. Yes? So why you don't know how many apples that come from a seed? Right. And what determines how big it is, that you can count seeds in an apple, but when you plant a tree, you really don't know how many apples it's going to produce. What determines the quantity? What is likely to predict the quantity of apples the tree might produce? The environment that it's in, what else? Somebody else help her. Sorry? The weather conditions, what else? The soil, and what about the soil? Whether it's fertile, how it's nourished. So folks, the same thing applies in an organization. When you are employees need to be motivated, morally behind, they need to be reinforced. They need to be trained, they need to be developed, they need to be nourished, they need to feel the sense that we care about you. So it goes to the point about what an organization is. See, generally people think of an organization as this legal entity. But what's the definition for an organization? What is an organization? That's it. She said it softly but correct. She said an organization really is a group of people who come together collectively to achieve specific goals, objectives, vision, mission, etc. So those collection of people could be who? Could be top management, employees at all levels, but also owners are the collection of people. Right? So whether you have the owners, the investors, the shareholders, so organizations are really a collection of people, not buildings and technology. Those are things that are there to help people achieve their goals, you see. So don't forget, that's why he said human resource management is going to be a critical part of this course also. So these are some concepts. I mentioned it last week. So this what is the IO, industrial organization view, versus which one? What's the other one I gave last week? The resource-based view. What is the industrial organization view? You better right back here with the hat, with the polo, with the polo hat. What's your name, sir? Shane. What's the IO? The industrial organization view versus the resource-based view. I did that with it last week, correct? What's the IO? Anybody? She's absolutely correct. The IO deals with the perspective that the external forces are more important than the internal. So my friend here with the US buy, you need to get a Vincentian buy or St. Lucian buy. So tell me, what's the resource-based view now? But tell me. He can tell me then. Tell me, sir. What's your name? Jonathan. What's the resource-based view? That me. Look at me. Come talk to me. That me. You're partially correct. Say actual resources. What can you say differently? Somebody tell her what is IO. What is there? You made a definition? I gave that last week. And it's on the notes. And somebody tell her well, she just said it. Say again. Right. What folks I'm saying is in your notes and on the recording, so you just put IO definition. So don't waste all your ink writing all the stuff, you see. So just put IO definition and it's your recordings. But he said partially correct. So he said the actual resources are more important than the external. What is really the correct thing? Sorry? Correct. Not only your human resources, but your internal resources are more important than the external resources. So that's why the internal resources become important. So you have your human resources. What other resources you have internal? Human resources. retrieve, that could be physical resources. What else? Technological resources. What other resources you find in an organization? The informational resources, intellectual resources, and the one that is quite obvious. Right, your financial resources, correct. So again, folks, I urge you, learn not all the internal factors, but also the internal resources. And you need to distinguish by next week, everybody should know the internal, the IO perspective or view versus the resource-based view. These are things you're tested on in the exam. So we went through these things last week, the environmental forces, so I wouldn't go through them again. It's just for purpose of revision. I'm reminding you, you really need to spend some time looking at these things. So we look at some issues from a Caribbean perspective. So again, most of the texts, or all of the texts, are generally written about North American or European business context. But there's some characteristics of Caribbean businesses that we should note. And the issue of market share, and everybody here should know what market share is. What is market share? The guy right here, what's market share? Yes, what's your name? Kevin, what's market share? Right, you say how much of the market you consume, or how much of the market you. Anybody can add to that? You own, you can lose it, so you really don't own it. But it's something you're missing from market share. Sorry? But that's correct. There's one thing that you're missing that you need to put. Right, you say the percentage of the market. Correct, but there's something you're missing. What's the market made up of? Sorry? Right? It's made up of buyers and sellers. So the market is made up, so when you say market share, so that company has a market share, right? A company that's offering goods and services. What would that market share entail? Sorry? Right, or the people who come for goods and services, you see? So when you're correct, so you say it is when somebody has control. If you dominate the market, you have control of the market, or the greatest percentage of the market, or 40% of the market, but it means that the people who buy goods and services in that market prefer to come to you. Or you have X percentage of people who buy goods and services for it. That's what the market is made up of. Right? So the percentage is people. So remember that when we start to talk about buyers and sellers of products and services. So understand that in the Caribbean, you need to understand the businesses we are in. But there's a concept in the Caribbean, if it is not broke, don't fix it. In other words, we're very conservative, very traditional. We're not change-oriented. And this is not only the government, it is also private sector oriented. We are not change-oriented. Right? So we tend to follow traditions until the business runs in a crisis, and then somebody tries to fix it. Innovate or evaporate. Are we innovative in the Caribbean? No, we're not innovative. Again, very traditional. We've been doing it for 30, 40 years. You can make minor changes, but we really don't innovate. And a lot of Caribbean businesses are buying and selling businesses. Somebody mentioned intellectual property. Who had said that? One of you said it right. Again, intellectual property or creativity and innovations are not things that are encouraged in businesses. But most of us are hired to do a job or sell a good service. But very few organizations pay us to come up with creative and innovative ideas. Acquisition is essential to growth, so we have a lot of acquisitions, taking over companies and buying over companies. Do people make a difference? You think Caribbean organizations care about their workers? Believe that? Not really. Yeah, we got a lot. Yeah, profit. We got a lot of work to do in terms of how we treat our employees. Employees also need to look at their attitudes to work. But some people say two sides, this dichotomy. Workers don't work well, managers don't manage well. Quality, do we focus on service quality a lot? Generally, no. Some organizations do, but we still have so many poor standards of quality in terms of how we serve people. And unfortunately, the university is part of that. And we can admit there are certain units in the university where we do not provide high quality services to students, right? But we need to realize students are customers, and students are not incidentals interrupting people from their busy work. But I'm sure sometimes when you go to get assistance in certain offices, you get the impression you are interrupting people from their busy work, correct? But the only reason why they have work is because they have you. So you should never be an interrupter to somebody in the university, never ever, but it happens, right? We know it happens. Monopolies, there are a lot of monopolies in the Caribbean, many, many monopolies in the Caribbean. So I wanted an example of a company, and I tried to get some regional companies. Royal Castle is from Trinidad and Tobago, Chefette, Barbados only, Kentucky, all over the Caribbean. Right? Kentucky is very popular all over the Caribbean. RBTT, headquartered in Trinidad again, big company. Clico, Trinidad, Massey, Trinidad, CIBC, First Caribbean, Jamaica, all over the Caribbean. Grace Kennedy, no. Right, Grace Kennedy is Jamaica. All right? And everybody knows Flow and Digicel. Everybody knows that partnership. So remember the 5 forces: substitute products, potential new entrants, bargaining power of the consumer, bargaining power of the suppliers, and the rivalry among competing firms. Right? And as we discussed last week, where the bargaining power of the supplier is lowest, who wins? Supplier or customer? Or the person buying? The person buying. Why? Well, the person buying benefit when the bargaining power of the supplier is low. Spending less. You set the price. Somebody said something there. Is it substitute? No, substitute is a separate thing. What makes bargaining power of the supplier low? When there are many suppliers. Right? Not substitute when there are many suppliers. Substitute is something totally different. But when you have many suppliers basically offering similar products, not necessarily substitute. Right? Same thing, same brand, but that's what we call the open market competitive environment. So when you have many suppliers, if you don't give me the price I want, I just go to somebody else. Now what does that do in a real sense when customers have choices in who they buy from? Sorry? See? That's it. Customers are able to dictate price and push prices down. And the more competitors, the more customers are able to bargain. And you can negotiate discounts. Look, man, I can go down the road at so-and-so store and I can get it a discount for 5%. What are you going to do? So they actually push people to give discounts. Yes? 5%, we'll give 6%. Right? So that's how the whole thing about discounts come when there's a lot of competition. And people got $5.99, $5.95, $5.98 because the competition is so tight. So price elasticity is when it is difficult for prices to move or easy for prices to move. When there's high elasticity, is that when it is difficult for prices to move or easy for prices to move? High elasticity means, is it difficult or easy for prices to move? If it's easy for prices to move, you all agree? Right, yeah. Somebody just double check it. Right. So you have price elasticity where you can move prices and move up and down. What sector or environment of business would have elastic prices? What environment would have it so that prices monopoly. You could raise your prices and people will still buy. There's another kind of business environment that can have a similar thing where prices could be high and people still buy. Oligopoly and what else? It's another one. That prices could be high, but people still buy. Yes, a niche. Excellent. It's a niche. In a niche. And why a niche? Why would prices in a niche be able to rise and people still buy? Yes. Preference for not only quality brand. You want to be able to distinguish yourself from others. I buy brand. And because I buy brand, it is more important for me to have a preference for the brand that identifies me in a particular category or social or whatever economic group. So as the price, in fact, they like it when the prices rise. Why? Why would people in a niche like it when prices are pretty high? It keeps out a whole set of other people. Anybody can't come and buy it. Because if too many people are seen with it, it is not no longer important to you. Right? And it's an interesting concept for human beings, right? That they prefer to be seen better than other people. Right? But marketers know about that. So I'm sure in marketing there is psychographics. About emotions and feelings and body. So people buy a lot of feelings. Right? Feelings impact on you. So you might not have to be rich to buy expensive things. And that's what people do. If you perceive, I want to be seen in a particular class, you might not be working for a lot of money, but when people see you, they believe that you work for a lot of money, the way you dress and the brands you use, the car you drive, but you could be in so much debt. Every month you're struggling to borrow money to pay the bills, but that's not the point. The point is you want to identify a particular niche. So these folks are concepts we're going to be touching on to understand bargaining power. Where the consumer bargaining power is high or the consumer bargaining power is low. So how the two work together. As one's bargaining power is raised, the other bargaining power is low. And the rivalry among competing firms, again, is the essence of strategy that forces you to make decisions either urgently or not so urgently. So what conditions might force a monopoly to watch its prices? What conditions might force a monopoly to watch its prices? Sorry? The government. Why government? This side. It said the legal political force. Why would the legal political force control monopoly prices? You're back here. Right, they could, but they could just control. How do they control the price they bought? Sorry? Legislation. So what legislation would generally be put in place? Well, taxation would not necessarily control prices. Right, trading commissions. So what governments would do around the world is set up a trading commission, especially to control monopolies, so that like Lime and like Flow and Digicel, they just can't raise prices because they're akin to monopolies. So the government has agencies that if they want to raise prices or anything, they need to get permission to do that, right? So I'm just, folks, make note of these real-life examples of strategy because it's going to be able to help you as you study and move ahead, right? So anything we said so far you're not clear on, please put your hand up. If there's anything I say you don't understand. So please find some time to go through the 5 forces model on your own to refresh your memory. Why would new entrants to the market be such a challenge to established businesses? Why would new entrants to the market be such a challenge to established businesses? The guy right here in blue shirt. What's your name? Dylan? Yes. Right, but it would be increased, but why would the new entrant be such a challenge for them? Because there's increased competition, but I want to specific. What characteristics might of concern? The lady next to you, what do you think? Sorry? Sorry? Well, nobody get it and say they have come in, a new entrant or entrants have come to the market. What creates the challenge? Sorry? Yeah, eventually. The price comes here. No, come for the businesses now. And come for the business. A new entrant is coming into the market. What's the challenge for my business is? Down the road. That's down the road. No. This open market. Sorry? Market share will come further down. Why? But why is it? So what about the new products? She's on the ball. What's not about the new products? Well, it's different than the change. So let's look at it practically, right? When you are in the market and you have competitors, what will the business do on a regular basis when you have other competitors? You know their product, right? Not reduce pricing. You want, no, you're going too far, don't wait too far to the end. I have competitors, I need to know about their products. How their products vary from my product. Are they selling the identical thing? Do they make variations? So I first need to know about the products and services of my competitors. So if I open a restaurant, I need to know what is on their menu, what quality of beef they have, right? What type of oil they utilize. So supermarkets do that. They always have people going in checking products, the brand. Is it grade A, grade B? So people in the market that you have regular competitors, you know, and you seek out to find out about their products. You understand? But as she said, when you have a new product, there's no marketing information on it. That's what market research does. So a new product in the market doesn't have a history of data. Nobody knows about the products. So when it comes into the market, the challenge for the business is this product better than us? Is it of a superior quality? Is it of a lesser quality? So they need to know about the product first before you can respond. Because if it is a superior product at the same price, you're in trouble. So before you change my price, I need to find out about their product. Are they having a loss leader that for the first 6 months, they're going to bring down the prices low to get people to buy, but I know they cannot sustain it. So I can wait over time until the freshness wears off because I know their product is not as good as my product. So you first need to find out about the product, and I thought that's where she was going because it's a new product. Nobody knows about the product in the market. So even for customers, what do we do when there's a new product in the market, seeming similar to other products? We go to look. Is it the same? What's the price? So even as customers, we go around looking to observe when this new product is brought on the market. So in cars, it happens in cars. What is this new car about? Is it better than the Kia? Is it better than the Swift? Is it better than the new Balloon that they have on the market? So we look first. So people are excited by new products that come into the market. Very excited. And if the price seems lower and the car seems similar, people are attracted to try it. And that's the danger if you don't know much about the product. But you haven't tried it, so you can't say it is not good. But over time, as you come into the market and months pass and maybe a couple of years, is when people start to know, and you as a company then, you know much better about the product that is being offered. You see? So even in music, similar thing, if I'm going to bring music on the market, I need to know what is out there. What is the songs on the top chart? Am I going to bring a new genre, a new rhythm? What am I going to do that's going to be different, that people might find interesting when I offer my product to the market? So let's move ahead to, please read up the 5 forces on your own. So let's look at this thing called the IFE. So, what factors are necessary in order for us to construct an EFE? What factors are necessary for us to construct an EFE? Anybody can tell me? What factors are necessary for us to construct an EFE? Somebody? Anybody? Sorry? That's the first thing you do generally, but you got to be more specific. What allows us to construct an EFE? So I know a lot of people didn't read that chapter yet. Which is not good, folks. But if you didn't read this stuff, what I'm going to speak about now is going to have you kind of lost. Because these are new matrices and they're kind of a little technical. So I urge you again, do not come to the class without reading up something about the topic I'm going to introduce. It helps your learning and it helps your understanding, right? So to do the IFE, there are two tools, the IFE and the EFE. So remember I told you the foundation stuff are important. So you do a SWOT. So the only way you can do these tools, the EFE, IFE, and CPM, the personal analysis is standard. But it's only when you do a SWOT that you can do the EFE, and it's only when you do the opportunities and threats of the SWOT, for the EFE, and to do the IFE, it's the strengths and weaknesses that we do in the SWOT analysis. So when you have your cases to present, you would have to first do your personal analysis, your external assessment, internal assessment, and that's why I'm saying you need to know these factors very well, and there are two cases you would realize you have to present in class. So it's only after, I repeat, you do the SWOT that you have the information to do the EFE, which comes from the opportunities and threats you identify. And secondly, it is only when you do the strengths and weaknesses of the SWOT that you have the factors necessary to do the IFE, the internal factor evaluation matrix. So when we look at the matrix, you would see opportunities right there, and secondly, you see threats. Right? When we look at the IFE next week, you will then see the strengths and weaknesses. So I restate, folks, this is the point I mentioned, the foundation that we are building is critical to you being able to understand the tools you're going to introduce to you. If you have gaps in that foundation stuff, you're going to struggle to understand the tools and how to utilize these tools we're going to be introducing for the next 3 or 4 weeks. Now they said these matrices are not difficult, but since you have not dealt with them before, there are some logistics of them that you really need to understand and understand well. So what you do, you list all of the critical, the most important opportunities. I normally suggest about 5. We might have a lot more in the example. But when you're analyzing a case for the BS strategy, 5 would be adequate. 5 are adequate. So this has 8 opportunities and 8 threats. So in the left column, you have opportunities. And first opportunity, the global PC market expected to grow by 20%. The second, the cost of PC component parts expected to decrease. Right? And then the third, internet use growing rapidly. Then China entering the World Trade Organization. Average income for PC workers declining. Monetization of business firms and government agencies. The US economy and the world economies recovering, and 30% of Chinese population can afford PCs. Only 10% of homes have PCs. So these are opportunities. Right? And all of these opportunities would have come from an analysis of the environment. And then the threats, you have intense rivalry in industry, which strikes the 5 forces. It has severe price cutting in the PC industry. Right? Different countries have different regulations, legal factors. The PALM and PDA becoming substitutes. Demand exceeds supply of experienced PC workers. So if demand exceeds supply, what does that suggest? Sorry? Sorry? Right, so if demand exceeds supply, it means that you have, if you are qualified, right, as a person in that PC area, as you say, move around, but you can negotiate terms and conditions, you can fly all about the world and you can get work. But in this context, US customers and businesses delaying purchases of PCs, and PC firms diversifying into consumer electronics. Now, to understand the workings and to analyze the matrix, you need to understand that environment and how it relates to a business, right? Because if you say China is growing and US customers delaying purchases of PCs, now that is very important information. Why is that important? What does it tell you of the decision maker in business? Sorry? Right. So be more specific. Right? She said which market we should enter. So what it tells you, China going, America delaying purchase of PCs. That's what it's saying. It's saying, look, go to China. Right? It is saying go to China. And it's important that it's still relevant today while you talk about the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And I hope you're reading those for various matters. Where China is saying, no, Trump withdrew, I don't want to be part of this deal that involves the Asian countries, anything in America first. And China is saying, thank you very much, you know, provide global leadership, and we will take over. And what Obama did, Obama shut China and played lead in Asia with Singapore and all those Asian countries. Trump, with his backward policies, we don't want anything to do with any Asia. America first. So whereas Obama was shutting up China, Trump opened the door for China now to go into Asia, and with 1 billion and something population and tons of money, China is now going into this trade deal to get people out to buy from China. Right? So again, this is the politics of business, and which are relevant things. So the same thing we're saying here, America's not buying PCs, which means the market then might be shrinking, where the market is going to China. So it provides opportunities for people to go to China to do business. So you, in analyzing cases, would have to determine what you consider to be the opportunities and what you consider to be the threats. Right? And I said 5, between 3 to 5, I think would be adequate. Now, in the second column coming from your left, there is a weight column. Right? And in this column, the weights would come to 1. And I will tell you how you can determine the weights. But first, why might I want to put the weight to these factors, these opportunities and threats? Why might I want to allocate a weight? Which one of the first you're warm? Why might I want to allocate weights to each of these opportunities, these factors? Somebody else wants to tell me? Sorry? Which one is? Somebody say importance. Who's that? Who's that importance? You're very correct. So if you were also, you might not have said it, you had identified importance as the reason why you are absolutely correct. So the weights are allocated to determine importance because there are 8 opportunities and 8 threats. They all can't have the same importance. So why for decision making and strategy, you want to take each of the 8 opportunities and threats and rank them according to importance. Why is that necessary from a business planning perspective or decision making? Right here, right here, yes.
Show the importance because although it might be ranked high, it might not be important, it might not be very critical to your decision making.
Right. But when I allocate the weight, it helps me to determine which ones are important in decision making. You understand, folks? So the importance helps us to rank them. The highest importance is the least importance. So from decision making now, would I pay a lot of attention and put a lot of resources in things that are not important? No. But if you don't rank them, you could be making decisions about investing money and making decisions. It sounds good, but it's not very important. So you need to rank, and because monies are limited, you need then to determine which are the most important opportunities that I prioritize and which are the most important threats that I prioritize. Everybody with me there? So for you, if you are analyzing a case, you need now to look at each of the 8 opportunities, and from reading the case and the context in the environment, you will make a decision in ranking which is first, second, third, fourth, which is most important, and then you allocate the weight. Now, because it was total 1, I can say you can do it like in iterations then. So you might begin first. Once you rank, you can give something away, in this case of 0.25 or 0.10, 0.05. And if when you come it is over 1, when you total, you just go back to make adjustments in the weights, but still making sure the ranking is sustained. That the highest one, the highest rank gets the highest weight. The second highest. Sometimes you can have 2 equal. And we'll show it very shortly. So you can determine if there are 2 or 3 things that you think are equally important, you give them the same weight. And if you have a number of them that are second in ranking, you can give them equal weights, which is what is being shown here. So in this example, which opportunities are we saying are most important? Which opportunities are most important? Number 1, number 2, number 4, right? And 4, which threats are most important? Number 1, 2, and that's number 1 and 2. So what is it saying then? The global PC market expected to grow 20% in 2014 when this case was done. It is given a 0.10. It is also saying that number 2 is equally important. Cost of PC component parts expected to decrease. So once the component parts are expected to decrease, what are the implications for business? Or customers, sorry. What are the implications for customers? That the price is likely to be a better price for you because the component parts are going down, and hence the component parts are going down, the manufacturers should be able to produce a cheaper PC, right? And then the other one, China entered the World Trade Organization, lower taxes for importing PCs. So it means China is now part of the global trading arrangement, and they're lowering taxes. So why are they lowering taxes for PCs? To compete? It's a little more than compete. What is China lower the taxes for PCs, for imported PCs? Sorry? Well, they're lowering taxes for importing PCs.
So the big market standards.
Sorry?
In order to meet the free market standards, so it's
Free, well, you're close. Encourage people to buy. But this is what it says. China is lowering the taxes for importing PCs. But not only people to buy, but they're encouraging companies to ship more computers to China. That's what they're saying. In other words, for you to get your product into China, you will not have a lot of taxes to get it past or custom departments. Because if the taxes were high, you can import it. But it's going to be challenging, so people wouldn't waste time because you know I'm not going to get the big sales. So China is saying, when we lower taxes, it would encourage all the computer companies across the world to start to sell your product to China. And with a population of 1 billion people, China knows how it can benefit because it's help retail stores to sell the products on behalf of people. And threats, similar thing for threats, you have the severe price cutting in the PC industry. So that suggests what? Once you see severe price cutting in the PC industry, what does it tell you? Severe price cutting tells you what? Sorry? Yes, severe price cutting suggests there are a lot of competitors that have maybe similar products. So you have to cut your price to survive. So folks, one of the things you have to develop in this course that the textbook wouldn't teach you is to read a statement like this and identify the implications. Everybody understand what I'm saying? It just says the severe price cutting in the PC industry. You need to develop the skill and capability to interpret what this means in the strategy context. So price cutting suggests there are a lot of competitors. Intense rivalry, so in order to survive, the margins might be narrow, so hence you want to be keeping your price and monitoring your price. Right? So number 8, PC firms diversifying into consumer electronics. PC firms diversifying into consumer electronics, which is from business orientation. Because remember back in the 90s, a lot of computer systems were for businesses. What are the implications for this? What is this suggesting? Sorry? PC firms diversifying into consumer electronics. Sorry? Expand market share, so there's an intention to expand market share. So what does diversifying suggest? Sorry? Right, you're changing a business model, you change your business model, very good. Any other point, what do you think? Diversifying? What is diversification all about? Sorry? Yeah. So when I intended to do that, so practically speaking, when I diversify, I offer a particular product. When I diversify, what am I intending to do? What do I want to do? Sorry? Different areas, but right, different segments. So folks, that's another thing to make, please make a note of these points, folks. There is a language for strategy. There is a language for strategy. So it was said, different areas versus different segments. Now this is not wrong, but it's not the language of marketing and strategy. This is the language of marketing and strategy, a market segment. You don't have a market area. So you just need to refine your language to speak the language of marketing and strategy. Have you read it in an example to circulate what you mean by area? Is it a geographic area? But if you tell me a segment, I know what a segment is. Right? I know what a different market segment is versus a different market area. Everybody understands the point? So there's a language, an accuracy of the language is something, that's why I'm saying that I want you to talk and interact with me. So in that point, I'm sure she will not make that error again, correct? So when you're talking, think about it. Yes, what's the other word I can use that portrays the message I want to do? So thank you very much. And folks, interaction helps, trust me. Speaking it is the best way to learn it. So we have the factors. Then we have the weights. So we said the weights was total one, so you have to do iterations, but the weights signify importance. So how How you do the weights, you rank it from what you believe is number 1 to 5 or 1 to 8, and then you can allocate your weights and make variations in your weights. If you consider 3 things that are equally important at number 1, give them the same weight as is here. They can get all at 0.15 or 0.10. If you think numbers 2 and 3 are also equally important, you can give them same marks, or ratings, or you can just have different ratings, 0.15, 0.14, 0.10, 0.09, 0.07. It is up to you. This is just for this example here. Now the next column will be your ratings, right? And the ratings, I will show you the rating scheme. Each matrix has its own rating scheme that you need to learn and know very well, right? What the rating says. So when it says 1, 2, 3, 4, you need to learn very well what that means. So when you allocate a weight and then a rating, you come up then with a weighted score. So when you have weighted scores, the ratings can be the same, but the score varies. So to give you the example, item 1, if you look at it, item 1 has a weight of 0.10 and it has a rating of 3. Item 5 has a rating of 0.05. It has the same rating of 3, but check the score. You understand? So if I took up the weights, you see what would happen? If I took up the weights, it would assume that the 2 of these are worth the same thing, or maybe just worth 3. But we know from what we said, the global PC market growing is more important than the average income of PC workers. So let me repeat, so we're saying what the weights do, even though 2 factors that have the same rating, when you add the weighted score now shows the important difference is that this will be given a higher score than this one. Everybody with me? So even if I give this a 4, what will you get here? It still shows it has a lower score, because what you want with the total weighted score, you really want the truth reflection of how a company is responding to the market and market trends. So at the end now, you would have the total weight that was added to 1, and you have your total weighted score of 2.4 for a maximum of 4. So let's look at the rating scheme that is utilized for the EFE. And this is the rating scheme, folks. Again, you need to learn this very well. Okay, study it over the next few days so that by next week you know this well. Now for the EFE, you are assessing how a company responds, and I can't overstress this. You are assessing how a company responds to different environmental conditions. Right? That's what you're checking. How a company responds to the environmental factors or the opportunities and the threats. When we look at the IFE, that looks at something different. So we are saying if there are opportunities in the external environment, how is Gateway responding to the opportunities? And if there are threats, how is it responding to the threats? Right? And why would be the response to opportunity that threats so important to a business. Why would how a company responds to opportunity that threats will be so important to a business? Correct. Ultimately, if you don't respond appropriately and timely, your competitors could get an edge on you, and as he said, it could restrict you from gaining the competitive advantage because you will make the wrong decisions or your decisions are not timely. So 4 means a superior response, 3 an above average response, 2 an average response, and 1 a poor response. You need to learn these by heart. The IFE has it inverted in a whole different way. The numbers are much different. And even with the CPM's ratings are different, which you need to learn by heart. So in this case, since a number of factors got 3s, we can assume that the company had an above average response to the global PC market and an above average response to the component parts decreasing. China entered the World Trade Organization. Lower taxes on PCs. What is it suggesting for this company? What is it suggesting for this company? My guy here, yes. Right here. In the white shirt. Yes, me. Number 4, China entered the WTO, lower taxes for imported PCs. What does that rating suggest to you? Right, and what is it suggesting in real term? In practical terms, what is it suggesting? Since it was a poor response. But in a very practical sense, if you have to look at the company in a practical sense, what can we suggest caused the company to get the rating of 1? In a very practical sense. Sorry? But you say practical, that's still academic. I say in a very practical sense. But still academic. I say in a very practical sense. Sorry? Sorry? Well, I think we developed for an industry, what did we say about what China was trying to achieve by lowering taxes? No, this is it. When I say China entered WTO, before that, China was excluded from the World Trade Organization. So no, it has entered the World Trade Organization. So before that, a lot of Western companies weren't going to China. So why do China want them to come into China? Not only employment, I want the technology inside of my country. I mean, you're shut from international trade. So I also want to benefit from your technology. I may start to come to my country, but even if I'm producing my own goods and services, my technology might not get as lots of yours at that time. So I want to bring your technology to my country. So I can benefit from your technology. Maybe steal a bit of your knowledge. You understand? Literally steal a bit of your knowledge. So what China is trying to do, get these Western countries to come to China, opening some doors. Right? And don't forget, they're going to benefit too with all the, if they get a flood of computers coming in, they're going to benefit from the taxation too. The taxes go to government. And the businesses that are important will benefit from all China got over a billion people. So you know how much money they could make if they come in and the government benefits from it. So the one thing suggests, I say in a practical sense, that businesses did not gateway, did not take advantage of it. They need a gateway, did not put strategies in place to export its products to China. That's the practical thing. Gateway had an opportunity to export PCs to China, and Gateway, for some reason, did not think it important to export its computers to China. When else you heard about Gateway in the world? Nobody heard about Gateway. So, you know what happened? Gateway died. So it tells you the kind of management, nationalistic, which is where I believe Trump is taking the US actually. on a death row. You can exclude yourself from world trade. You made money from selling your goods and services all over the world. So when you start to tell the world, I for America first and only, people say, well, that's no help trade thing. You're really shutting your doors to trade, which is, it doesn't make any sense for Republicans who are open trade people. You know, they push, who created globalization? US and Britain and those countries. So you created globalization and then complaining about globalization, which is a small like us now. We were the people who were impacted by it. So you created this thing called globalization and then complaining it's not good for you, which is what we European countries were saying for decades. So everybody sees the point. What I want to do, folks, translate the theory into practical. So when I say a practical explanation, I really mean practical explanation. So when you tell me the response was slow, that's still academic. When you tell me they did not take action to sell their computers, or they were very tardy in selling their computers in China because of the opportunities, that is practical. Okay? And it helps you to understand the course a lot better by referring to these very practical examples. You understand what I'm saying? A similar thing, the intense rivalry, again, the intense rivalry was a threat. And what was the response of Gateway to intense rivalry? Poor. So it's no wonder that Gateway died in the mid-2000s. The company just was very nationalistic. It was just focusing on the US, and it died. And if the new 45th president of the US comes with these nationalistic internal strategies that our businesses can survive on the US alone, he's really living in a dream world. You can't survive on your own now. Everything is so interlinked and so interconnected. Even the thing with their cars. Well, nobody buys them. Even now, the challenge they have, they are able to sell the car that they have because they made it in Brazil, the Cruze. You understand? But other than that, the Cruze will cost 3 times the price that it is now, but they made it in Brazil. And he's saying, no, don't make any cars in Brazil. It needs no, I have to get rid of my Cruze now, or I'm not going to get the parts. My man from Simpson's shaking his head, my wife from Simpson more. But folks, you understand what I'm saying to you? The Chevy is an American brand, but they have not been able to target, to really impact on the world market. So now Trump is telling American car makers, if you produce cars out of the US, we can give you a surcharge, which has implications for the car I'm driving, which is a Chevy Cruze made in Brazil. Correct? It's in Brazil it was made, right? I think it's Brazil, yeah. It's Mexico or Mexico, one of those Latin countries, right? So he's saying, no, they're doing America first. Why won't we be able to buy the Chevy? Because the American labor costs can be so high. Right? Because when you got these illegal immigrants, they pay them a quarter of what they pay an American worker. So when you see them make it home and pay American workers, the price of their products may go up in the air. So if you shut the doors to trade outside, well, I gotta come and talk to Debbie Simpson and those and tell them they want to trade in the Cruze and get something. They're going Asian and they're going to buy one, Suzuki or something like that. But folks, you see the point I'm making, right? So let me do the summary. In assessing the EFE, the external factor evaluation matrix, you first need to be mindful that you have to first create the opportunities. And when you have the opportunities, you then have to allocate weights, because we said the weights determine what? The weights determine importance. And once you determine which ones are more important than the others, you then can do the rating. And when I multiply the rating by the weight, it gives me a more true score of how the work and how the company has been responding. And that gives me the weighted score. And the last thing you look at would be the total weighted score, which is 2.4, which suggests, right? So it says, total weighted score for the organization's response is outstanding to threats and weaknesses. That's an error, that's opportunities and threats, sorry. And the total weighted score of 1, the firm's strategies not capitalizing on opportunities or avoiding threats. So if it got 2.4, what would you say for 2.4? Right, the company just about average, marginally average in terms of responding. So it's still, right? Not even average, it's just average, yeah. Marginally average. And as I said, in real life, Gateway no longer exists. And there's by no chance, it's by the kind of strategies that we are seeing here. And these cases we use are really of real life companies. So we're saying the EFE matrix focuses on the opportunities and the threats. The CPM, which we'll look at very shortly, looks at the firm's strengths and weaknesses in relation to the company's strategic position. And we look at the major competitors. This one, similar structure, but with some amendments. So we'll take a break for a few minutes. Let me get a little water and get you to just stand up and stretch your feet, and we'll just do the CPM and then close.